Picture this. It's October 22nd, 1895, in Paris. The air is crisp, the city is bustling, and at the Gare Montparnasse train station, express train number 56 is getting ready for its journey to Granville. On board, there are 131 passengers, all blissfully unaware that they are about to become part of one of the most bizarre and spectacular accidents in history. The conductor, Guillaume-Marie Pellerin, is a man with a reputation. A good one. Well, he's known for always, and I mean always, being on time. Some might call it dedication. Others might call it a slight obsession. Today, however, he was running a few minutes late. And for a man like Pellerin, a few minutes late might as well be a few years late. He was not having it. So, what does our punctual Pellerin do? He decides to make up for lost time. A little more speed, a little less caution. He instructs the fireman to keep stoking the engine, pushing the locomotive faster and faster. The train is flying down the tracks, a metallic beast hurtling towards its destination. The passengers inside are probably just enjoying the ride, maybe reading a newspaper or sipping some tea, completely oblivious to the fact that their driver has turned this commute into a high-stakes race against the clock. Meanwhile, at the controls, Pellerin is feeling the pressure. The station is approaching, and he needs to nail this landing. As the train thunders into the Montparnasse station, Pellerin goes to apply the brakes. He pulls the lever for the Westinghouse air brake, the top of the line, fancy new braking system. And nothing. He tries again. Still nothing. A little bead of sweat probably starts to form on his forehead. He frantically signals to his crew. The fireman tries the locomotive's brakes. The guards in the carriages try the hand brakes. It's an all-hands-on-deck, full-blown panic. But this train, this monstrous 12-car behemoth, has decided it's not stopping. Not for anyone. The train barrels through the station, past the bewildered faces of people on the platform. It smashes through the buffer stop at the end of the line, you know. That big block of wood and metal designed for the sole purpose of stopping trains? Yeah, that thing. It barely even slowed it down. The train continues its rampage, plowing across the 30-meter wide station concourse like it's on a mission. People are scattering, screaming, diving out of the way. It must have looked like something out of a movie. Except movies with this kind of special effect hadn't been invented yet. This was the real, terrifying, and absurd deal. The concourse wasn't the end of the line, not for this train. The station was elevated, and at the very end of the building was a 60-centimeter thick wall. A very solid, very final-looking wall. Surely this would stop it. The train hits the wall, and for a moment, you might think the chaos is over. But no. This locomotive was not just on a mission. It was on a mission to defy physics. It bursts through the wall, soaring out into the open air, suspended for a brief, glorious, and utterly terrifying moment. About 10 meters above the street below, the place de-rends. Imagine being a Parisian just walking down the street that day. Maybe you're on your way to buy a baguette. Maybe you're admiring the architecture. You look up, and there it is, a full-sized steam locomotive hanging nose down out of the second story of the train station. You'd probably think you'd had a little too much wine at lunch. It's a sight so surreal, it's almost comical. The locomotive teeters there for a second before crashing down onto the street below, landing squarely in front of a tram stop. The tender hung precariously behind it, and the passenger cars, thankfully, remained safely inside the station. Now, you're probably thinking this must have been a catastrophe. A train falls out of a building, there must have been dozens of casualties, right? Here's where the story takes another unbelievable turn. Miraculously, almost everyone was fine. All 131 passengers on the train, unharmed. The driver, Pellerin, and the fireman? They jumped off just before the final crash and were totally okay, physically at least. The train guards, all safe. The people on the street below? Most of them managed to get out of the way. But there was one tragic and incredibly unfortunate exception. A woman named Maria Gustin Hagelard was standing on the street that day. She wasn't waiting for a tram or caught in the chaos. She was just filling in for her husband at his newspaper stand while he went to get the evening papers. As the locomotive crashed down, a piece of falling masonry from the wall struck and killed her. It's a heartbreaking detail in an otherwise almost slapstick story. She was the only fatality in this entire insane event. The sheer randomness of it is just devastating. The aftermath was pure spectacle. For days, the locomotive remained right where it fell. Nose down in the street, an impromptu. Modernist sculpture that nobody asked for. It became an instant tourist attraction. Crowds gathered to stare at the impossible sight. Photographers flocked to the scene, and one particular photograph, taken by Studio Levy and Sons, became iconic. It's that famous black and white image you've probably seen the train, perfectly preserved, sticking out of the building. It's been reprinted and referenced countless times in art, movies, and even album covers. The accident literally became a work of art. So what happened to our heroes? Of the story, the conductor, Pellerin, was fined 50 francs for being too eager to arrive on time. The fireman was fined 25 francs. A pretty light slap on the wrist, considering they just redecorated a Parisian street with a steam engine. The railway company paid for Marie Augustine's funeral and gave her 2 children a pension. The investigation found that the Westinghouse brake had failed, but Pellerin's excessive speed was the main culprit. He was just too fast to furious for 1895 Paris. The cleanup was a monumental task. They had to bring in a team of engineers and a massive winch to haul the 40-ton locomotive back up and away. It took almost a week to remove the wreckage and begin repairs on the station. But the image was seared into the public's memory forever. The Montparnasse derailment became a legend, a cautionary tale about the dangers of being in a hurry, and a perfect example of how reality can sometimes be far stranger and more spectacular than fiction. It's a story of mechanical failure, human error, and unbelievably bad luck for one person and unbelievably good luck for hundreds of others. So next time you're running late, Just remember Guillaume-Marie Pellerin and his train. Maybe it's better to just be a few minutes behind schedule. Thanks for watching this crazy ride through history. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible true tales. And let me know in the comments what you would have done if you saw a train flying out of a building. Gee, see you next time.